Hey guys, I want to talk with you a little bit today about the love that you have to give in this life and how you spend it. And I just wanted to share a little perspective that I've had and a little story, more specifically, on the way I look at this now and the way I think of this concept here. I believe that all of us are filled with love, right? We've got a lot of love to give as human beings, and we choose where to exhaust our love, or what things to exhaust them into, or to throw them at, or to devote them to. And this is a very widely encompassing concept here, where we could consider the fact that we devote love to our careers, to our jobs, to our communities, to our friends, to our families, to our lovers, of course, our partners, our dog, our projects, our any number of things, right? There's all sorts of things in our lives that we interact with, that we have this exchange or this giving, really, of our love, that we bestow upon different people and situations in our lives. And I just want to give you like a little bit of an extra way to think about how you're spending your love, where you're spending it, and basically just to give you a little food for thought about trying to rationalize when enough's enough, and when you've expended enough love on something and you're not getting anything back. And this is one of the hardest life skills, I think, for any of us to master as people. How to know when that point is where you've put enough love into something, you're not getting anything back out of it. And that's for each and every one of us to decide. There's no one size fits all, and like none of us can or should pass judgment upon your situation or what you're going through or what you're dealing with. And how much is enough? I mean, that's something that's completely up to you and something for you to rationalize. But the way that this concept came about in my mind is I was thinking back to an instance in my childhood, and I want to share a story with you that paints a picture of my concept here and what I want to communicate with you. And I hope this little story sticks with you and you can remember this as you go through life, and as you're finding situations where this analogy is correlatable. I just hope that you remember it and you think about it, and maybe it will get you to a better place in a sooner amount of time, if you want to say that, or whatever. But anyways, my story, when I was a young kid, right? I was a child of the 80s. I grew up like mostly in the late 80s, early 90s was my childhood years. I'll always remember my parents used to take us to this pizza shop in town every couple of weeks or something like that, every once a month, whatever, maybe once every other month or something. But it was this little hole in the wall mom and pop shop. I still remember the name quite clearly. It was Primo's Pizza, right? A really iconic place as far as the 80s are concerned. It was like this kind of crappy, musty, like just kind of I don't know, kind of family, like oaky, oldie, kind of like whatever you want to say, like pizza parlor, like in my hometown, right? In the small town where I grew up at. And it was an awesome place. It was always cool to go there with my family. We were always excited as kids to go there for many reasons. And I do remember the pizza was fantastic. It was just, cheap, basic, whatever, family style kind of environment. It was always a good time. But where I'm going with this and what stands out in my mind and the part of the story that I want to tell you is that my parents, at every single time we went there, it was just like a big treat. They would give us like a handful of quarters, like me and my sisters. They'd give us a handful of quarters, and they'd send us to the back of the pizza parlor where there was this little arcade back there. And I remember, like anybody that grew up like in the 80s, like you just, like the fact that there was arcade games in the first place was just like such a revolutionary thing. And this was like a huge deal for a little kid to be able to just like walk into this arcade area and go, pop your quarters into whatever game you want to play and just have a good old time. And this is like a huge deal, a lot of excitement. But I'd always remember like walking back to the arcade section there and playing a few games. But like one of the things that always caught my attention was like this gumball machine that they had in the corner. And for some reason, like I don't know what it was, they had those like gigantic, like multicolored gumballs that like as a little kid you were like so fascinated. You would look in this like big glass globe red machine thing, and you just like you wanted one of these gumballs. You wanted to get one of these things out of there. And I remember on more than one instance, like I would take a portion of my quarters, like, you know, I don't remember if it was like before or after I played the games, but I was always like cognizant of the fact that like, okay, I've only got like so many quarters in my pocket here. Like my parents have only given me like so many of these things to spend, and like, you know, let's try to use them accordingly. And I remember, like I said, going up to this gumball machine, same gumball machine, many, you know, various times that I've been there. Like, I don't know why I thought that things would be different the next successive time going there after having this experience, which I'm about to describe. But you'd put the gumball in, you'd turn the crank, and you're like, nothing would happen. It was like the thing ate your quarter. you're like, what the heck? Like, where's my gumball? Like, dang it. Like, well, maybe if I put another quarter in and try it again, it'll do something, right? You put another quarter in, you crank it, and you hear all the gears turning. It's a big metal thing, and nothing happens. No gumball. You're like, what the heck? And you're like shaking the machine, you're kicking the machine. You're like, all right, I know for sure if I put one more quarter into this thing, I know this gumball is going to come out of it. In you go, you crank your crank, no gumball. You know, I think I remember like running through like, you know, maybe $1 or $2 worth of quarters in this machine as a little kid before I finally just like threw in the towel and gave up, walking away frustrated with like no gumball ever having come out of this machine. And, you know, what a frustrating feeling, but like that is the euphemism that I'm painting here. And that is the correlation that I'm drawing to what I'd mentioned earlier in the talk about, you know, your love very specifically is those quarters, right? You only got so much of this love to like dole out and give out to different things. And that's up to you. Like I said, like if you want to give your love till the day you die without getting anything back, like that's fine. That's up to you. I'm not going to judge you for that. But it's just like, I think for most of us in most situations, it's just learning to register when, you know, when you've put enough quarters in that gumball machine, you haven't got a gumball back, i.e. like you've put your love in again and again and again and again into another person, let's say, or into a situation, a job, you know, whatever, something you're trying to do, something you're trying to achieve, accomplish. Like you just need to have the ability to take a rational look at those scenarios and ask yourself, like, at what point, like, is it worth it, like, you know, for you to walk away from the gumball machine and just kind of like, well, like, how long are you going to stand there, like, putting love into something before you get something back out of it? You know, like, that's not fair. Like, you're not here on this earth, I think, to just like aimlessly and endlessly give away your love without ever getting anything back in this you know, regard of reciprocity, let's say. Like that's not the point of love. I don't think that's like why love was given to each and every one of us as a gift, to just like give and never get any of it back. You know, it feels amazing to get love back from things and people and experiences and situations, all this kind of stuff. You know, but it just, you have to be able to, yeah, like I said, to know when you've spent enough quarters. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to walk away from situations, and sometimes you have to, sadly enough, walk away from people. But like you can't just stand there your whole life and waste all your money till you're broke. You know, and ironically enough, that word broke really stands out. I mean, you can become broke with money if you're a little kid putting quarters in a gumball machine, but you can become broke as an adult from a mental and emotional standpoint if you've depleted all that you've got to give into another person or to a situation or to whatever regard you want to think about this. And, you know, is it worth it to go broke? Or is there another gumball machine out there that might actually give you a gumball when you twist the crank and you put your quarter in? You do your part, and you're hoping and expecting that the other side is going to do their part. It's just something that that you need to try to think about. You need to try to analyze your situations as you go through them in life, and just really think about that, and really think about what you're willing to sacrifice, and how much love you're willing to put in something, and what you're willing to spend. It's just such a big concept that it's easy to be that little kid, to just keep putting your quarters in, crank, quarter, with no end in sight. I mean, but that's just, I don't know. I think any adult would step in and say, hey, little kid, like, what are you doing? Like, stop putting your money into that. Like, it's broken. It's not going to give you a gumball. Like, find another way. Like, find another gumball machine, like, whatever. But it's like, for some reason, as little kids, it's like, it's just hard to have that understanding, or that realization about the situation. So anyways, I just, like I said, the point here is that I think the message in the story relates to, like, the love that you've got to give, and the places and people and situations that you're putting it into. It's the exact same thing as the little kid in the gumball machine. It's like, how long do you put love into something without it paying you back? And there should be a payback. Don't fool yourselves. Don't sell yourself short. Don't make up, some reason why you don't deserve love back from something, because you do. You're just as entitled to it as every single person walking this face of this earth. And there's no reason why you as an individual should have to just give endlessly with nothing in return. That's not the way that things were intended to be, I think, by, powers and beings that are, like, way higher above, like the you and I in the here and the now. That's not my belief. And I think that probably deep down in your heart of hearts, and you probably feel that way. So I hope this little story helps you. I hope this sticks with you. I hope this means something to you. I hope this helps you. I hope you remember it. And the next time you're in a situation where you're standing in front of a gumball machine, you're putting quarters in, you're not getting anything back, just think about this. So hope you're having a wonderful day. We'll talk to you real soon.